Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us, smoke it if you've got it. And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Devin.
And this is Collateral Gaming with the Last Video Game Podcast.
It's not the first video game podcast, but it is the last video game podcast you'll ever need.
Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it.
Hell yeah!
And joining us today for the first time is Devin from the Last Video Game Podcast. How's
That's
it going?
right. This is the only video game podcast that matters. Mine ain't shit. This is the only one that matters. Fuck my podcast.
Right.
This is the podcast. This is the only one. I'm the last video game podcast, but this is the only video game podcast.
The only video game podcast that matters. You know, I didn't even think about it while I said it. It's been our slogan, you know, since we started. And I'm like, oh shit.
It is very ballsy. It's so. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, "Whoa!
Yeah, well,
This is the only one, huh?"
I borrowed it. Well, you know, we're a spinoff of Collateral Cinema movie podcast, so I kind of just copied the format from that.
I used to have one of those too. I don't know what happened to that.
Oh shit! Well,
we
man,
just kind of stopped doing it.
it's gonna be a good night recording this tonight. Welcome to the show. We're here to talk about one of the greatest video games of all time.
Oh, hold on. I thought, we're on different pages. I thought we were talking about one of the worst video games of all time.
No.
Nah, it's fine. It's good. It's a good game.
Hell yeah. So yeah, this is our Zelda month. Every December we see this, Hazel, this is why I didn't want you in. You're coughing.
I didn't hear it for what it's worth.
You didn't hear? Okay, my kid's sitting here coughing.
I did
next
not
to
hear
me.
anything. No. Yeah, kids just always be like, they're all snotty and ugh.
But this year we're talking about Ocarina of Time. It's about fucking time. This is what, season 7 of Collateral Gaming, and we're just now getting into Ocarina. I will go ahead and say it's not my favorite Zelda game, but it's up there.
You just lost 10 subscribers.
No, I'm just saying it's not my personal favorite, but like if you're
No, it's
looking
not mine
at
either.
if you're looking at the best Zelda games, the ones that had, you know, the biggest impact on the industry, then this is up there. This is going to be the number one for a lot of people. I just personally feel that every Zelda game that used Ocarina's formula afterward improved on it. But it's just a personal thing.
This is a video game that had one of the biggest influences on the entirety of video games.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not an understatement to say that the video game industry wouldn't be where it is today. So, but yeah, Devin, if you want to go ahead and talk about your experience with Ocarina.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either. My favorite Zelda game is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Oh, that was my
for the
first
Nintendo
Zelda.
GameCube. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. Yeah, so I adore that game. Yeah, Wind Waker's my favorite, and I'm going to try not to go on too much about it because that's not what we're here to talk about, but it is my favorite. I love the art style. I love all the characters, like emotions. I love how silly and goofy it is, but at the same time, really heartfelt. I love the music. I think it's a wonderful game. The Wii U version is gorgeous,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'd love to know why they haven't brought it to Switch. That is one of my biggest questions for Nintendo. Why y'all sitting on this? Because I want it. Y'all brought every Wii U Donkey Kong Country game to the Switch.
But
And I
still,
don't care
but
at
still
all
not Wind
about
Waker or
those.
Twilight Princess or Ocarina for
No.
that matter, except for the
Yep.
the N64 emulator.
Right. So, yeah. Oh, right. That game. Yes, that is what we're here to talk about. Yeah. So I don't think I had this game when I was a kid. I had an N64. I got one kind of late. We were more of a PlayStation household. PlayStation is still my favorite console of all time, the PS1. But I did have an N64. I had the Pikachu edition, where his little cheeks lit up when you turned it on. And I had mostly like Pokemon. I had like all the Pokemon games, and I had like Mario parties and that kind of thing. I don't think I owned a copy of this game, but I definitely played it. Whether it was at like a friend's house or borrowing it for someone. But I think when I got into it more was when it came out on GameCube. I think it was called like the Masters Edition or something.
Yes,
The Master
the Master
Collection.
Quest.
Yeah. I played it a bit on there, but I will say, I think like most of my experience with this game was the 3DS version, which is fantastic. The 3DS version is the same game, but it's in 3D and remastered, and the visuals are beautiful. Have you played that version?
Yes, so I've played both versions. I originally played this on the GameCube as well.
Gotcha.
I actually had what I had was the Zelda Collector's Edition, which was a collection of Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the first two Zelda games.
Ooh.
And that was pretty much how I played all of them. I have played Ocarina of Time Master Quest through the 3DS version. I agree with you. And we're going to kind of talk about both here. But the 3DS version, other than the fact that it's on a very tiny screen, is the definitive version of the game.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wish they would bring that version to something else. But yeah, because that to me is, that's the definitive version. That is, it looks the way it should look, and it's just, it's wonderful. But yeah, I loved it when I played through it on the 3DS. When I was a kid, I probably didn't get too far into the game, but when I got the 3DS version, I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to this. I enjoyed Majora's Mask more. I love that game. I don't
my
know. It's
favorite.
just something about, it's just like, it's dark, it's creepy, it's different. It's such a cool game. I love all the different masks and stuff, but Ocarina of Time is very, very special. And, I definitely have a lot to say about it.
Hell yeah, brother. So Majora's Mask, like I said, that's actually my favorite Zelda game. And I think before when Tears of the Kingdom came out, recency bias had set in, and I was calling that my new favorite. But after some reflection and soul searching, I'm like, nah, Majora I think is still my favorite. And we have covered that on the podcast before. But Ocarina of Time is the game that really set the foundation for not only Majora, but everything that came after. And it's probably the Zelda game I played through the most number of times, actually. It's a very replayable game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand why it's held in such high regard. I mean, because like I said, I mean, it would not be an understatement to say that it had an effect on the game industry as a whole. The 3D action adventure games today really owe it all to Ocarina.
Yeah, people tend to call it like the greatest game of all time. And I don't think there is a greatest game of all time. I don't think you can judge art that way. I don't think you can say there's a greatest painting of all time or a greatest album of all time. I think they're all different. But hey, if it's your favorite game of all time, I think that that's totally warranted. I think it's a fantastic game. And yeah, like you said, it set the stage for action adventure games. There was nothing else like it before up to this standard and up to this level. And, something I really wanted to touch on was this was an era where we were entering from 2D to 3D, and a lot of companies were knocking it out of the park, and a lot were not. Sonic, in my experience anyway, terrible transition from 2D to 3D. But Nintendo's over here killing it, except maybe for Donkey Kong. We had, Mario,
Mario 64, yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the way Mario should be. And then, we have after that, Star Fox came out, and Star Fox was incredible. And then, I think this is the next one in the line. And I loved Link to the Past. I absolutely adored that game. I had that game on SNES, and I loved playing it over and over and over. And this game is very similar to Link to the Past. It takes a lot from it. And it just perfects like that transition from 2D to 3. It kills it. Like, I was doing some research earlier, and I found out things that I had no idea about, like that this game had like 300 people working on it, which was like insane at the time, like unheard of. Apparently Mario 64 had way less than 100, like 60 people or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But like it is insane. Like I was a kid. I couldn't appreciate it at the time. But looking back at it, I'm like, wow, this was shocking. It was like the biggest, megabyte wise. It was like the largest game, and they had to do a lot to like make it work on a cartridge. And yeah, it's just insane. And then Majora's Mask, you had to have a memory pack, which is funny because I didn't know that going into it, and I rented it at Blockbuster, and it didn't come with a memory pack, and I couldn't play the game. I was so disappointed. I remember that day coming home and being like,
"Oh no,
I can't play the game because I don't have the expansion pack." But yeah, I mean, it was huge. This game was massive, and it was an incredible success. And when you look at action adventure games today, I mean, they're still doing what this game did. There's so many things that this game did that all these games like it in the future are going to be the exact same thing. It's wild.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, we still continue to see its influence today in the industry, and that's really incredible. And like you said, Ocarina of Time was the game that transitioned the series into 3D. It gets credit for being the game that kind of set the Zelda formula as we know it today. But like you said, A Link to the Past is really the game that did that. But this is the game that took the A Link to the Past formula and moved it into 3D. And I think that's why it gets the credit for it. And it honestly still holds up today. I mean, I actually was playing I was playing both the N64 game on Nintendo Switch Online and the 3DS version concurrently in preparation for this podcast. And I found that the N64...
You were playing them at the exact same time. You had one in your right hand, one in the left hand. You're like, oh, yeah. Minority Report over here, trying to juggle both of them at the same time.
Totally.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, I was kind of playing both. Just to kind of compare them. Hell, just today, I raw dogged the Water Temple. No guide, no walkthrough, N64 version.
No protection on that. Wow. I mean, that's rough. Water Temple gets a lot of hate. I remember playing it on the 3DS and being like, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Like, honestly.
It's not that bad.
In fact, I was kind of surprised to see so much hate for it because as a kid, I didn't have that much trouble for it. Of course, back then I was using walkthroughs and whatnot, but yeah,
sure.
Even then,
I'm pretty sure I did too.
Yeah,
but still, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. The 3DS version does make a significant number of improvements, especially to that dungeon. Just with moving the iron boots as an item instead of having to go to the gear screen to equip them.
I mean, that right there is that's the thing right there, right? Because oh my god, going into that menu to select those boots every single time,
it does get annoying. Oh. And on top of that, I think it also adds markers to so that you can find your way to each of the places that raises the water level. I think the thing that's frustrating about this dungeon is that there's like several keys that you can get at a time, and you're not really sure which door that they go to. And if you're not careful, you might do things inefficiently and raise and lower the water level, and then have to
And then you
go
have
and
to
redo it.
backtrack, and yeah.
Um, Farore's Wind can be
Yep.
helpful, but you can only set it to one place. So
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. But hey, that's just one that's just one temple. It might not be the best one, but they can't all be 10 out of 10 temples, right?
no, definitely.
They did a great job.
And I think it's a fun dungeon. Like I don't think
fine.
by any means there's any
It's a fungeon, is what we like to call it.
Fungeon, yeah.
That's what we call it.
I'll take it over any of the child dungeons, to be honest, because the child dungeons are just
Yeah.
very short, and
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
they're just like they're
Yeah.
kind of like tutorial dungeons. They're not really trying hard
Yes, sure.
to they're kind of like just easing you into the formula. In fact, I don't think there's any small keys in any of the child dungeons.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, but we're very excited about this wonderful, amazing game. But I mean, there could be a person out there listening who doesn't know what this game is. It is quite possible, right?
That's true.
There is a probability that somebody hasn't played this game. And so I think it's our duty to explain why it is so wonderful and why it deserves the praise and isn't just like, it's the old one. That's the old one. Because when you think about like Sonic Adventure and you're like, wow, that's rough. That's real rough. And it's like, yeah, they figured it out eventually. And I'm sure those games are good now. I played Sonic Frontiers the other day for about 2 hours and thought it was dog water. But like this, they knocked it out of the park on the first try. Like they came out swinging. They're firing on all cylinders. They knew they had to make this thing incredible. It becomes a system seller. It's flying off the shelves. Like there's a reason that this game is so good. Why is it so good? Like why do you think what makes this the game? Why is this the game?
For me, what I always loved about Zelda games in particular were the dungeons and the puzzle solving. That's always been the big thing for me. And I think that Ocarina of Time just really nails those things. In addition to having a really good story, maybe not as complex as some of the stories get, but it has a few twists and turns throughout. It was more than the standard adventure up to this point. And the whole dynamic of being like the child and the adult thing, that was cool. I mean, that was this game's gimmick. I mean, from here on, Zelda games would continue to have, every game would have a sort of gimmick, and this game was the time travel one, and that's used to great effect. I love how there are things that you can do as a child that will influence what happens as an adult. And there's even a bootstrap paradox at one point in the story with the Song of Storms.
I mean, can you imagine? Like
who composed the Song of Storms? Let me ask you that.
I did. It was me.
It was you.
Yeah, I did. It's great. It's up, down, left, A, B. No, I don't know it. But like, can you imagine? Like, we unfortunately didn't have this experience. But can you imagine playing that game, going into it blind, and like not knowing that like what's gonna happen, like not even halfway through the game when you get that Master Sword? Because this is something I really want to talk about, because when I think of this game and I'm like, why is this game special? Personally, because I think a lot of it is based on nostalgia for everyone. And I think if you played this game today for the first time, I think it's still great. I think it's still a great experience. But back then, what made this so mind-blowingly exceptional? And to me, a lot of it, what's great is that we have different experiences, because for me, it's not the dungeons. For me personally, it is that, the story is a little, weak. There's not a whole lot of it. and it is very simplistic. Kid needs to save the world from the bad guy. But man, there is a Back to the Future thing going on here that is absolutely mind blowing even today. Like, you start off as a kid, you Ganon steals the princess and is gonna destroy the world and become the ruler of the world, and you got to stop him. So they're like, you got to get the Master Sword. So you get the Master Sword, and you don't become an adult. You time travel.
Yeah.
And now you are an adult. You basically skip forward in time. And when you leave that temple, God, like, you walk out of that tent, like, you go in and the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you come out and it is dark and it is scary.
Yes.
And there are screams and it is terrifying.
And there's a bunch of fucking re-deads in Castletown.
Oh my God. The scariest enemy in a video game. Period.
Oh, totally. Until you figure out that the Sun Song stuns them, right?
But they scream at you, and it's awful. And this isn't supposed to be for children. And it's terrifying.
For a moment, you think that those are the citizens of Castletown. I mean, that's the conclusion that you come to, because all these people were here, and now 7 years later, there's a bunch of fucking zombies. And then you go to Kakariko Village, and you're like, okay, the people were okay, but I think that was intentional. I think they fuck with you a little bit.
But when you realize it, it's like, oh shit, I didn't save the world, and it's like, you're too late. He fucked it. Like, it's over. And now you got to fix it. Like, there's not a lot of games where you can say, like, you lost. Usually it's like, okay, I got to save the world before the hero destroys it. In this game, it's like, not even halfway through the game, it's like, you failed. He won. Now you got to go back and fix it. And it's nuts. And I love it. And I think it's crazy. And, like, incredibly insane that they pulled this off and that they were able to do this. I think it's an incredible gimmick. Like you said, it's the gimmick, but it's like an insanely good gimmick. In the next game, we have a crazy good gimmick too, but this one is just mind-blowing to me even now. The fact that you play for so long as a child and then you become an adult and the game just completely changes. And then you can go back as a kid to affect things, and sometimes you have to go back. You might not even know that you can go back for a long time, but you can become a kid again, and your changes in the past will affect the future, and it's insane. It's really, really cool. And I think that gimmick, along with just the story as a whole and the music and the atmosphere of this game, is what makes it so special to me. It is the first game, at least on the N64, the first game I can remember playing that is quote unquote open world. I can't think of any game before this that was that open. I mean, the Hyrule Field is massive. I just knocked my microphone.
I heard.
I mean, it's massive, and I can hear the song in my head. Boo, ba-da-da-da-doo, and it's so like happy and exciting and fun, and then like a flower comes out of the ground and kills you. Wah!
Yeah,
and it's just like, it's huge. The game is massive, and it's incredible.
That might be one of the other reasons why it was so successful. Yeah. Was this, like, by today's standards, we wouldn't consider this open world, but by the at that time, I mean that it was a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah, it's more like a hub, but it's like, no, it's huge. It's massive. You still have to play it in a linear-ish order.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can traverse.
But you can fuck around with the order a little bit once you get to an adult.
Especially with the side stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like whenever you decide to go tackle like the Bigoron sword or whatever. You can do that, I think, pretty much as early as whenever you become an adult. But yeah. But I mean, you can even tackle the dungeons out of order. I remember one time I played through this game and I was bothered by the fact that the spirit medallion and the the Requiem, was it the Requiem of Spirit? I think that's the name.
Mhm.
Are actually before the Shadow Medallion and Nocturne of Shadow on the screen. So
Yeah.
I felt like the Spirit Temple should go first. So I played one game where I did the Spirit Temple first before the Shadow Temple, and it totally worked. You can actually do that.
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, you get the horse, you get, and it is very reminiscent of the original first Zelda game, where it really is. That game could be considered like open world. You get put into it, you have no idea what you're supposed to do, and you can tackle things in a certain order, or you can do it in a different order, if you want to, like. And you can discover all these different secrets that the game doesn't necessarily tell you about. And there's some cryptic stuff in there. And like, I just can't think of a game before that game that did this. And it's very, very impressive.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, there's a day-night cycle. The day-night cycle is cool too. Because when it becomes nighttime and you hear that crow, and it gets really, really fucking creepy. And all of a sudden you're scared and you're pissing your pants.
And then all these like Stal children come after you, and yeah. And they get progressively bigger the more of them you fight.
Yeah, it's really scary. And you're just a child and you're like, and I mean, it's just great. It's just fantastic.
I'm one of those gamers that like I hate playing around at night in any video games. So like, give me the option to change it back to day. I'll play the Sun Song, and like I'm always gonna do that. But then if you're hunting for gold Skulltulas, that's a different story.
Yeah, I never did that.
No, so you haven't beat this game? You haven't completed this game 100%?
Oh no.
Oh man.
Oh no.
I have
no,
before. I'm actually still in the middle of a playthrough. I might just power through it and do the rest of the game tonight. I got to the bottom of the well, and my N64 version of the game. And unfortunately, I can't find my 3DS charger right now, so I'm playing through the N64 version on Switch.
Right. Well, at least you don't have to use the N64 controller.
Right.
And destroy your poor thumbs.
But yeah, I have completed the game at 100% before. This is one of those Zelda games that it's not necessarily as hard to do so. I mean, like, for instance, I'll probably never do Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Way too many fucking Korok seeds, like, and there's just no fucking reason to do all of that. But
there's no reason to do any of that.
But with this game, you just have the heart pieces and the gold Skulltulas.
Collect
and then all
my
the
100 shit pieces. Go around, collect my shit.
Go ahead and collect my shit. That's right. Nah, you only need like half of them just to get all the upgrades.
You found me. I mean, can we just for a second? Can we just? I feels unnecessary, but can we just talk about the music because this is
Oh yeah.
one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Oh man, I've
Like-
been listening to this soundtrack actually for the last couple weeks or so. And one thing I was particularly impressed by was how complex it is. I mean, even going to like the Hyrule Field theme, which you mentioned earlier,
It's so dynamic.
it goes on for like 4 or 5 minutes without looping. But you know,
But then, like, when you encounter an enemy and it transitions to, like,
Yes.
you know, that creepy battle music, and, like, it's so seamless in the way that it does it. And it's like, it's so ahead of its fucking time. Like, I'm talking about it. And the more I talk about it, the more excited I get about it. I'm like, damn, this game is good. You ever watch that video by Ego Raptor, the sequelitis video, where he
Yeah,
just
I've
like
seen
shits on this game for like an hour? And it's like, hey, man, I get it. I get that, like, it's a little rough to go back and play, but also fuck you. Like, I love him. I love Aaron to death, but this game fucking rules, dude. Like, this is a good game. This is a really good game. I think even today, if you can play the 3DS version, do that. But like, man, I can't even tell you the amount of times that I just left it on that title screen. It is the greatest title screen of all time. That song is so beautiful. And just what, and the horse, like, hoof steps, the clickety clacking, and he just runs across the screen, and it's just like do 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 do, and it's like, it's so good.
so good. That
Was it Koji Kondo?
Koji Kondo, the man, the Chad.
in his cozy condo.
And
Koji Kondo and the cozy condo.
the Gerudo Valley theme, that one's a fucking
I
banger.
mean, that's the great. I mean, that's the greatest video game song of all time, in my opinion.
It's so
in my
good.
personal opinion.
I
mean, if you search on YouTube, you know, Gerudo Valley theme song is, you know, remix. There's got to be 700 million different versions of it, or versions of it. You know, maybe you haven't heard it before. You're a Gerudo Valley virgin. I'm a little tipsy. So, you know, you play that Smash Brothers level though, right? And you just play it just to hear that song.
It's so good, man. That is a slapper. All the Ocarina
Incredible.
songs. I mean, especially the Warp songs as an adult. I really like the harp and the ocarina going back and forth. Like, I'll sit there and I'll wait for the song to finish before I select yes, Warp.
Yes. You got Song of Storm, boom, 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 ba-da-doom. Yeah. You got the shop thing. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. I mean, oh my God. They're just, it's incredible. The music is so good.
So good. You know, and for something that was synthesized on the Nintendo 64, it
Oh, it's
sounds
beautiful.
really good. Even the original version of it, you know, I can sit back and like I can listen to these songs any day. You know, the whole like sequence of events whenever you go to the Temple of Time and you get the Master Sword. You know, you get like the Temple of Time theme. You play the Song of Time. They play this little jingle as the door opens that sounds really fucking epic. And then you get that Master Sword cutscene with the music. I've watched several YouTube compilations of like every single Master Sword scene because they're all a treasure.
Mhm.
What's cool about this
Yeah,
game
yes,
is that
yes.
you get to redo that scene as many times as you fucking want.
Right. Absolutely. That's correct. Oh my God. This game also invented the ba-da-da-da and the bi-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I mean, it's just this, like you said, you know, everything after this copies this game. And for better or for worse, you know, obviously they switched it up with Breath of the Wild. Thank God, because I think it was getting real stale. And they had to. But like, you know, it does take a lot from Link to the Past, but we got the Gerudo, adorable motherfuckers. we got the Zora sexy motherfuckers.
And
And these guys are gonna be in this shit forever now.
And the Gorons.
We got the Deku. I said that. I said the Gorons,
I think
right?
you said the Gerudo.
Oh, no, the Gerudo are fuck ugly. The Gorons are adorable. The Zora are sexy. Yeah.
Okay.
And then because the Zora were fuck ugly before,
Yeah.
and then they made them hot. Yeah, so we got all of those guys, and these will be in all the subsequent games after, you know, and every item from this game will be in every game after, and you're gonna hear a lot of the same sound effects and a lot of the same songs, and you're gonna like experience a lot of this for, you know, forever. Epona's gonna be in every game, like it's just. But this started it all. And it just did it so perfectly. And so I think it was super refreshing when I played like Tears of the Kingdom and was like, oh, thank God, like something new.
Yeah.
Like, but then I played what's the newest one on Switch?
Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom. And man, like I was enjoying it quite a bit, but it was like, wow, this is just, I've played this before. Like it is the Gorons and the Zora, and it's just the same thing. And I'm like I've been here. I've done this. Give me something different. Like, you know, it was all very refreshing. And I think Majora's Mask, you know, came out of the gate and did something completely different afterwards. You know, they took all the assets and they made something completely different.
Completely.
You know, like, yeah, at its core, it's the same gameplay, but now it's like a roguelike. Like, it's totally different and it's wild. And it's like got a detective, you know, spin on it, and it's nuts. And I love it, you know. So I just think they were like firing on all cylinders in this era.
Oh, yeah.
Like with this game. It's insane.
On all cylinders.
You know, I can't, yeah. Yeah. And then Wind Waker, I feel like they really switched it up and did something different again. And then Twilight Princess kind of went on. I don't know if I want to talk about Twilight Princess.
Oh.
I don't know about that one. And then
Really?
Skyward Sword, I never even played Skyward Sword.
No.
Because
you're gonna
I
hurt.
heard it.
Okay, you when my co-hosts listen to this, you're gonna hurt their feelings because
Oh no.
Megan's favorite Zelda is Twilight Princess and Zach's favorite is Skyward Sword.
Well, look, I didn't play Skyward Sword, so I can't speak to it. It came out on the Wii, and I heard the motion controls were dog shit, and I like wasn't interested. You know, Twilight Princess was all right. It was just real dark and weird, and I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the right time for it for me. And then I didn't play Skyward Sword.
I think Ocarina strikes a good balance, you know, with the, because I mean you have your dark levels, you have your bottom of the well, you have your shadow temple, and those are fucking dark. You have like the blood, you have that crazy fucking scary ass dead hand guy. I mean, I can't imagine how many children that motherfucker must have traumatized.
This game is fucking horrifying. It's really scary, and it's the Dark Souls of Zelda, and it's very difficult. There's a lot of parts that are really hard.
There are.
And like, that must be really scary for a kid.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think, you know, in the second part, we'll talk a little bit more about like the stories and characters more. But for this section, I think I was wanting to focus, you know, on the gameplay. So I want to ask you, what is your favorite dungeon from this game?
I mean, first of all, if we're talking about gameplay, this game invented the lock-on system, which is insane to me.
We haven't even talked about that.
Absolutely insane. Because I'm playing Stellar Blade right now, and I'm doing the lock-on, and I'm like, every time I'm like, yep, this is from Zelda. That is insane that they did that. And the way that they did it, where they're like, the kid is sitting on and he's like, yo, use Z targeting to lock on to me so you can talk to me. And it's like, wow, they did that. That's nuts. You know, and the movement is pretty cool. How you can like step side to side and do a backflip is just nuts. And then in Wind Waker, they absolutely like blow it away. Like they just add like so much to it. It's so fluid and fun and cool. But yeah, my favorite dungeon is probably the what's the ghost one? The one with
The
the
Shadow
pose.
Temple.
Shadow Temple. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. And then you got Ganondorf coming out of paintings, and it's so cool.
Oh no, that's the Forest Temple. I'm sorry.
Is that not that's the forest? The one.
Yeah, no, that's the one with the ghosts.
Maybe
You're
I'm
right.
mixing two together.
No. You had it right because you said the one with the
Okay.
ghosts. But I was thinking like,
Yeah.
when you said ghosts, I was thinking like spooky, and that's the Shadow Temple.
Oh.
But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, you're right. No, the one with the ghosts specifically, that was the Forest Temple. I wasn't thinking about the four post sisters, which
Yes.
Twilight Princess
Yes.
references that with the Arbiter's grounds. That was kind of a cool
Mhm.
callback. But yeah, no, the Forest Temple I think is well regarded as one of the best dungeons, and it's a really good fucking dungeons. I mean, it's got that whole twisting hallway mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
You get the bow in it. Yeah, you get Phantom Ganon, which is an awesome boss battle. The music is really good.
Super cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dungeon?
I'm probably, and I haven't gotten back to it, so it's been a few years since I played it, but probably the Spirit Temple, because of the fact that it's the only dungeon in the game where you actually get to play as both child and adult Link.
Yeah.
They have those mirror light puzzles, which are really cool, and Twin Rova.
Those are really cool. Yes.
Yeah.
The mirror shield is dope.
Oh fuck yeah! And then of course the Twin Rova boss battle, which is one of the more fun boss battles in the game, where you have to use the mirror shield to reflect their powers at each other. And that gimmick would later be copied in other Zelda games, but
yes, the mirror shield is sick.
It is.
That's
a really
like
cool
one of my
item.
favorite items.
I think a Link to the Past did the mirror shield first, right?
I don't remember. I don't think I beat it. I played it a lot. I don't think I beat it.
I haven't beat A Link to the Past either. That's one of the only holes in my Zelda games that I haven't actually completed that one. I played a lot of it.
I think there's a lot of I think one of my favorite things about this game is just the sheer number of toys you get to play with.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just bow and slingshot. You get cool shit like the mirror shield that, it's the first time seeing that. And what's the little magnifying glass that shows you secret shit. Yeah, the lens of truth. Shit like that is just so cool.
You get 3
and then in Majora's Masks, you get all these masks and they all do different things, and it's turn you into different shit. It's so cool how these games give you all these different toys to play with.
And you get 3 different new types of arrows to play with: the fire, ice, and light arrows.
Yep.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
The magic spells, Din's Fire, Farore's Wind, and Nehru's Love.
Yeah. Yep. And then you got your Ocarina with all the different songs to learn that do all these different things. And you can, like you said, you can change the time, you can change the weather, you can teleport.
Man,
I mean, it's awesome.
How cool is that you have songs that solve
insane.
puzzles? That's really
and you get to
cool.
manipulate the world. Yeah, by today's standards, it's oh yeah, cool. But back then, this was nuts. This was fucking crazy.
And I mean, some of the songs are more useful than others, but even so, I mean, they're all fun to play and to use, within their context. I think the Master Quest version, which I haven't beat, utilizes some of these things a little bit more. And has kind of mixes things up. I know a lot of people do randomizers with this game. That's something I haven't tried.
Yes, I've seen this. Yeah, I've watched Griffin McElroy play the randomized version, and that shit's crazy. That is just nuts.
Fuck yeah!
I don't think I could do that. That's too chaotic for me. But man, that's cool. I mean, that's just so much cool shit. Epona is awesome.
Epona.
You get the horse. I mean, just you think about today, it's a horse in an open world game, no shit. But back then, I mean, the freedom of that, just being able to go wherever you want. A lot of stuff is closed off, but eventually you can go to so many different places and experience so many different things and go to different shops and do side quests. And, it's very much an RPG as well. And it's awesome. It's great. I wish I was playing it right now instead of talking to you, doing this dumb podcast.
I was playing it today, again, like I said, I beat the water temple. I got through the bottom of the well, which is like single-handedly like the darkest area in this game, and you access it as a child, but you have to go back to access it, which is cool.
Right.
Right after, creating a fucking paradox by teaching the Song of Storms to the man in the windmill who taught you the song. Again, who composed it?
Right? Insane. Koji Kondo.
Well, Koji Kondo in real life,
past.
but who actually composed the song in universe?
See, these are the questions that we are not allowed to ask, okay? Because it's
the
you're going to
time
create
travel,
a time paradox.
The time travel logic is a little it's a little inconsistent here, but I think maybe that's how time travel kind of is. Like, it's never going to be like the same thing. Because like sometimes you actually go back in time and change some things, and then you have that one example of the bootstrap paradox. And at the end of the game, you have the whole split timeline thing. And fuck anybody that says otherwise. The split timeline was always a thing. When you go back in time, and Link at the end of this game goes back in time, and he prevents the events of the game from happening, prevents Hyrule from getting fucked up.
Right, but that shit already happened.
Creating a new timeline.
Like, it did happen.
That's conventional time travel logic.
Yes, exactly.
And people say that like Nintendo like just invented that with the timeline, and they didn't, because I was there. I was there talking about this shit back in the day when it was unconfirmed.
Exactly. Yep. Man, I was just playing Dishonored 2 for the first time. Have you played that game?
No.
Okay, well, there's this incredible mechanic that blew my mind, where there's one level of the game where you get a device that lets you travel back and forth through time, and you're in this guy's house. It's a mansion, and his mansion is completely destroyed. But you can use this device to go back in time to it'll be exactly where you are, and you'll instantly teleport back in time 3 years, I think. And it's so cool because what you do in the past influences the future. And there's this area where you can't access. So you like go back in the past and you solve a puzzle, and then you go back in the future, and now you can access that area. And it's just so cool when I think about, like, man, video games have been taking stuff from this game for forever. I mean, it's just, maybe it didn't, like, maybe they weren't thinking of Ocarina of Time, but like they could have just made a 3D Zelda game, but they went hard. They hired all these people and they made it as good as they possibly could. I don't think there's like anything that could have made this game better for the time when it came out. I think it might be perfect. I really do. Yeah, okay, you can say some of the puzzles are a little simplistic. Okay, so I got the bow, so obviously I have to use the bow to get through this dungeon. And oh, this puzzle's really hard. I have to look up and shoot that eyeball. That's difficult. Okay, I get it. But like, okay, this was 26 years ago. All right? This is pretty fucking mind-blowing for the time. And it's still fun to play. The music's incredible. I have a collector's edition, like vinyl soundtrack that I absolutely adore. I love it. Link's voice comes from this game. You got the you got the choo-choo bombs.
Oh yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
The bomb chews are cool.
Hey,
I'll tell you what though. Fuck
come on.
That mini game. Fuck the Bum Chew Bowling Alley. Worst mini game. Probably one of the worst mini games in video game history. Because one, it's unpredictable. You don't know what the fuck.
I was never able to like beat that. It's so bad.
Like you can line up your shot perfectly, and then like that cucko at the end will then fucking move right at the end. Some of the angles you have to be pixel perfect to get, and on top of that, the rewards are randomized, so you can't be unsure what you're gonna get. You might get rupees you don't need.
Yeah.
And you have to play through the game at least twice because there's 2 rewards that are needed for 100% completion.
But the bow minigame is very fun.
The bow minigame is fun. Yeah, I'm actually a master at that, especially on the 3DS version with the gyro. Give me that. I'm a fucking master, man.
Yes. I didn't even think about the gyro controls make it even more fun.
Oh, the gyro controls just kill it. I mean, like,
a lot of people hated on the 3D. I remember everybody I knew who had a 3DS was like, oh, I just leave it off. I never use it. I thought the 3D on the 3DS was fucking incredible.
It was.
I loved it. Thank you. And I think this game was like one of the best uses of it. I thought it looked incredible in 3D.
And this is one of the better looking games that came out at that time. I mean,
oh yeah.
They redid most of the assets, I think, from the ground up. I mean, and you can tell, and like even like the way Link moves and handles, it feels different. You know, like I mentioned before,
awesome.
the gyro controls. They added a fucking boss rush mode, so you can go refight the bosses. There's a hint system in game if you're an idiot, I guess. I'm kidding. So, there are some things that are kind of obtuse. I think the hint system is in place for something that like I would have gone up and looked up a guide here. Now there's like a secondary system. The problem is that you'd have to go like warp all the way back to your home or the Temple of Time to access it. And at that point, it's easier just to pull out your phone these days and look up look up a walkthrough. But I mean, obviously, you know, in the subsequent playthroughs of this game, I haven't had to do that because I remember, you know, most of it. And I've been exposed to as many Zelda games as I have. So, you know, like the puzzle logic, I think, is a little easier to grasp than it was when I was a kid. But
hey, listen, what do you think about this little blue ball of light with wings?
You know, Navi gets a lot of hate, and I get it. At the beginning of the game, when
people hate this girl,
I get it somewhat, because at the beginning of the game, you know, she'll stop you for like the stupidest shit. Like, no, just let me play the fucking game. Like, I don't need you to stop and
leave me alone.
But I don't hate her as much as everyone else does. You know, I still think that, you know, it's an endearing character. At least you have a companion throughout the journey, which is nice.
I think there wasn't a game like this made yet, and they were like, man, people are going to be lost. And we better have like a built-in hint system to help people out. Because, I mean, imagine if you put the game down for 2 weeks and then picked it back up and you're like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, you'd probably have no idea what was going on, right? So it's helpful that you could just press a button and she'll be like, hey, we need to go to we need to go to Death Mountain. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's useful. I mean, and like I said, the 3DS version adds a hint system on top that's like, that gives you just a slight amount of help. You know, just like here's a brief like few seconds to kind of show you what you need to go and do, which is cool. But yeah, Navi more often than not would tell you something that you didn't need to hear. Like, okay, I get it, but I understand. Like, if you're playing this as a kid, like maybe, you know, that was a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, like I said, as a character, you know, you gotta love her. I mean, she's been with you for the whole journey.
Yep. And then she kind of turned evil in the next one, I think.
Well, she goes away, and then you get Tao.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, she gets angry. She gets pissed.
No, she leaves at the end of this game, and Link is looking for her in Majora, and they never say if he finds her.
Wander in the forest. But yeah. Now I'm remembering. Yeah, they remade that one too, right?
Yeah, and I can't say that the 3DS version of Majora is the definitive version. There's so many things that they change. I mean, there's so many things that are really, really great that they improved on, but then there's just like a few things that are like, oh yeah, you completely ruined that. And I don't know why. Well, I know why. It was a game that was rushed in development, and so like they kind of took the time to change a few things. And honestly, I don't feel like they should have. Like Majora's Mask is one of those games that's kind of like an accidental success. It's like the rushed development actually gave it character and created a few things. But as far as the 3DS port of Ocarina, like you mentioned before, it's the same game but better. They've added a whole lot more to it. And again, you know, besides the fact that it's on a tiny screen, it is the definitive version of the game. I just, like I said, I wish they would port that version, remaster it a little bit, you know,
get yourself an emulator and play it on your PC. And there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
there you go. Now you can do it. Put it on your Steam Deck, and there you go. Now it's big. I don't know. I I think there's a little bit of a tangent, but I think that for a long time, we were all kind of pissed at Nintendo because they had all these incredible IPs and all these incredible games that were just sitting there. And I think we are in an age now where they are finally remaking and remastering and porting games to the Switch. And I'm very happy about that. And I think we'll be seeing a lot of games that, we used to love and have been waiting for and hoping for. And I believe that Wind Waker will be on the Switch too. And I will play it again one day.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. Well, on that note, I think we'll go ahead and we'll wrap things up for part 1 and save some things for part 2 of this episode.
Put a nice little Christmas bow on it.
Yeah, exactly. But if you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for part 2. Hopefully I'll actually get my co-hosts Zach and Megan on that one because I really want us all to be on this episode. Also, our other guest, Dan Rockwood, should be in for part 2 as well. Before that, we're more than likely going to go ahead and get out our holiday special on the Grinch. And then we'll have part 2 out by the last week of December. But we're going to probably record this tomorrow night.
That would be nice if we had other people, because I don't know if I can talk about the game for an hour again. I don't have that much more to say. It is a great game. It's got great music. It's great to look at, especially the 3DS version. It's a lot of fun to play. If you haven't played it, play the 3DS version if you can. But it is on the Switch. If you have the membership for the N64 thing, play it on there. And it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful game. It makes me happy to talk about it and happy to think about it.
Fuck yeah, man. All right. Well, Devin, go ahead and tell our listeners about your show, what you do, and what you got coming up, and where we can find you.
I have a podcast with my co-host, Austin. We co-host a show called The Last Video Game Podcast. And every 2 weeks, we talk about a different game that we've been playing. And then we will maybe play like a little game, or we'll talk about like other like little games we've been playing here and there. And like I said, I got COVID, so we didn't record one last week. But if you want to find us, we're on every podcast platform. The Last Video Game Podcast. You can find us on Twitter or X or whatever at Last Gamecast. You can find me at Dolphin Machine. And that's that.
Hell yeah.
That's it. That's the stuff. That's the thing. I had Baja Blast and poured a lot of vodka in it. So I'm having a great time. That's fantastic.
No, man, I'm loving the vibe. I wish I was on your level. I should have put more alcohol in my system.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who I can't get on microphone sober or I'm not gonna be able to talk.
Oh, I'm the same way. I don't like to record without
it's just impossible.
Something in me. I need to be high and or drunk usually. That's kind of like my go-to for podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
well, next episode I think I could talk about Ganondorf's nose for about at least 20 minutes. So I think that'll be cool.
Nice.
Let's do that. Let's plan for that.
Let's do it. All right. So stay tuned for part 2 and also our holiday special on the Grinch, the Dreamcast version. We should have that out by.
There's a Dreamcast game of the Switch of the Grinch.
Yeah.
There's a Grinch Dreamcast game.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
Downloading this immediately.
Yeah, I'm gonna play through that, and we're gonna talk about and have that episode out by.
That sounds fucking horrible.
It was Zach's recommendation, my co-host, and he has a lot of fond memories of it. So
okay.
Apparently, it's better than the PS1 version, which I have played a little bit of.
That sounds fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so we'll have that up on Christmas Day, and then part 2 of this episode by the end of the month. And then next month, we're talking about Super Metroid. We'll have another 2-part episode on that for our 50th episode. Very excited for that.
Woo!
And hopefully with part 2, Zach and Megan will be there to join us along with Dan. And yeah, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We do have a Patreon, as well as Buy Me a Coffee, and a merch store on TeePublic. So if you want to support the show, you can do so through any of those avenues. We also have we also do Collateral Let's Play on YouTube. You can check that out on our YouTube channel, as well as the Collateral Cinema YouTube channel. We are doing Phoenix Wright Wednesdays and Call of Duty Saturdays right now. I think Objection! Yes! Oh, hell yeah, man. You know what I'm talking about. I fucking love Ace Attorney. That's my shit, bro. And we're playing through every game in the franchise, starting from the first game, and Let's Play for them. And we've talked about most of the games now as episodes.
So like 67 games.
Yeah.
Good Lord. You got your work cut out for you out now.
We'll be doing that for years. And then, Call of Duty content every Saturday. We might bring back Beat 'em Up Fridays as well. That was a segment we used to do for the Let's Plays. This next week, we're probably going to take a break from our usual content, and we'll have out our Let's Play on Parasite Eve as our holiday special, as that is a Christmas.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It is a Christmas game, technically. So we're going to play through day 1 and have that out by Christmas Day. And today is Saturday, and I haven't recorded the Call of Duty game, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip it this week. And we're skipping Phoenix Wright.
You can
Wednesday.
just skip the Call of Duty episode entirely. That's fine. I don't think anyone cares.
But yes, just stay tuned for those. After the holiday, we'll be back. And coming into the new year, we've got a lot of more content coming out. Of course, we will have our post-holiday bonus round episode. That's going to be again returning to the Angry Video Game Nerd. We'll do our top 5 favorite season 3 episodes, and then in January we should have our 2024 in review episode, where we'll cover some of the games that came out this year that we didn't get a chance to talk about. But
sounds like a lot of monkey fuck.
Exactly. But
shit pickle. Yeah. My least favorite character.
Oh, come on. You got to love shit pickle.
I fucking hate shit pickle.
Shit pickle.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Thank you for being on, man. This is a great episode.
I am looking forward to talking to you all again tomorrow.
Hell yeah, brother. All right. Well, with all that being said, I've been Ashley Chancellor.
I've been Devin, and I don't usually say my last name.
That's all right.
So I'm just Devin. Devin Dolphin Machine.
This has been Collateral Gaming, and we'll see you in part 2.
See you then. Bye.
Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.